Have you ever wondered if the person you secretly think about is thinking about you too, but neither of you is willing to say it first? Maybe there is something different between you. The conversations feel more meaningful than they should. The eye contact lasts a little longer. You notice small changes in each other that nobody else seems to notice. But then, just when it feels obvious, one of you pulls back. That is what makes hidden attraction so confusing. Feelings can exist long before anyone is ready to admit them. Welcome to Psycho Library. Today we're looking at 5 unspoken signs that you may both be falling for each other in secret. These are not magical signs that prove someone is in love. Human behavior is complicated, but when several of these patterns repeatedly appear together, they can reveal something important about emotional attraction, attention, and attachment. And the first sign is especially interesting because it often happens before either person consciously realizes what is happening. Sign 1. You both find small reasons to stay connected. Think about the person you may have feelings for. Do your conversations somehow keep going even when there is no real reason for them to continue? Maybe you ask a simple question that could have been answered in one sentence, but instead, the conversation becomes 10 minutes, then 20. You talk about work, random memories, something you saw online, or something completely unimportant. The subject doesn't really matter. The connection does. Psychologically, people tend to give more attention and time to people who have become emotionally significant to them. When attraction develops, ordinary interactions can start feeling rewarding. That is why someone may find small excuses to message you, sit near you, ask your opinion, or continue a conversation that technically ended several minutes ago. And the interesting part is this: you may be doing the exact same thing. One person asks a question, the other answers. Then instead of ending the conversation, they introduce another topic. Neither person says, "I want to keep talking to you." They simply keep talking. That can create a subtle emotional loop. You both enjoy the interaction, so you both keep creating opportunities for it. But because neither wants to expose their feelings, the attraction remains hidden behind ordinary behavior. This is where many people misunderstand the situation. They think maybe they're just being friendly, and sometimes they are. But if you repeatedly notice mutual effort, mutual curiosity, and mutual attempts to stay connected, the pattern becomes more meaningful. The question isn't whether they talk to you. The question is, do they seem to create reasons to keep you in their world? Because if they do, the next sign becomes even harder to ignore. Sign 2. You both remember tiny details about each other. Someone can listen to you without truly paying attention. But when a person remembers the little things you casually mentioned weeks ago, something different may be happening. You once said you liked a particular song. Later, they remember it. You mentioned that you had an important day coming up. They ask how it went. You casually talked about something that makes you nervous. Later, they remember it without being reminded. These moments can feel surprisingly intimate. Why? Because attention is one of the most important currencies of human connection. We naturally pay greater attention to information connected to people who matter to us. This doesn't automatically mean romantic attraction. Friends can remember details too. But imagine the pattern is mutual. You remember their favorite food. They remember the story you told months ago. You notice when their mood changes. They notice when you're quieter than usual. You both seem unusually aware of each other's emotional state. Now you're no longer looking at one isolated behavior. You're looking at reciprocal attention, and reciprocal attention can be powerful. Because hidden attraction often doesn't begin with dramatic confessions. It begins with noticing. You start noticing their expressions, their tone, their routines, the little things they say without thinking. And eventually they start doing the same with you. This creates a strange situation where both people may know more about each other than they realize. Neither says, "I'm paying attention because I like you." Instead, the evidence appears through memory. You remember. They remember. You notice. They notice. And the more this happens, the harder it becomes to explain the connection as completely ordinary. But there is another sign that can reveal even more. Because sometimes the strongest clue isn't what happens when you're talking. It's what happens when you suddenly stop. Sign 3, your energy changes. When you're around each other, have you noticed that you behave slightly differently around one particular person? Maybe you're normally confident, but around them you become more careful with your words. Or maybe you become unusually playful. Maybe you suddenly care more about how you look. And here's the interesting part. They seem different around you too. Their voice changes. They become more attentive. They tease you more. They become slightly nervous, or they seem to become extremely comfortable with you. These changes can happen because attraction increases self-awareness. When someone becomes emotionally important, your brain may become more sensitive to how you are being perceived by them. You become more aware of their reactions. Did they laugh? Did they notice? Did they like what I said? Did I say too much? That heightened awareness can subtly change behavior. And if both people are experiencing it, the interaction can develop a unique rhythm. You look at each other. You smile. You look away. Then you reconnect. There is an invisible awareness between you. Not necessarily dramatic, just different. And sometimes that difference is exactly what people notice first. But there's still one more layer. Sign 4. You both notice. When the other pulls away. This is one of the most revealing signs. Imagine you normally talk every day. Then suddenly one person becomes quieter. The other notices immediately. Maybe they ask, "Is everything okay?" Maybe they send a message. Maybe they become more attentive. Or perhaps they don't say anything, but their behavior changes. They look for you. They initiate more conversations. They seem unusually aware of your distance. Why? Because emotional importance makes changes in someone's behavior more noticeable. If someone doesn't matter much to you, their absence may barely register. But when someone has become psychologically important, even small changes can feel significant. And this is where hidden feelings become complicated. Sometimes people pull away precisely because they are starting to feel too much. They may need emotional distance to regain control. The other person notices the withdrawal. Then they react. And suddenly, both people are silently communicating through distance. One steps back, the other notices. One comes closer, the other responds. Neither person says what they actually feel, yet both are reacting to the emotional connection. And that leads directly to the final sign, the one that can bring all the others together. Sign 5, there's a quiet emotional tension. Neither of you names. Sometimes you can feel that something exists between two people, even when nobody has defined it. The conversations have a certain warmth. The eye contact feels different. Silence doesn't always feel awkward. There are moments when you both seem to know exactly what the other person is thinking. Then someone makes a joke. The moment disappears. This can happen when emotional attraction exists, but hasn't been openly acknowledged. There is a psychological concept known as uncertainty reduction. People naturally seek information when they don't know where they stand with someone. That can explain why you may analyze their messages, remember their reactions, or wonder why they behave differently with you. But here's the important part. Don't turn every smile, message, or glance into proof of love. One behavior means very little. Patterns mean more. If you consistently see mutual effort, mutual attention, emotional sensitivity, increased self-awareness, reactions to distance, and a growing sense of tension, then there may be something deeper developing. And perhaps the biggest clue is that neither of you seems completely indifferent. You both care about the connection, you both protect it, you both notice when something changes, and you both may be waiting for the other person to make the first move. That's where secret attraction becomes so interesting. Because sometimes the problem isn't that there are no feelings. The problem is that both people are afraid of being wrong. What if I say something and they don't feel the same? What if I ruin the friendship? What if I imagined everything? So instead of speaking, both people wait, and waiting creates ambiguity. But there is a healthier way to understand it. Don't obsess over individual signs. Look at the overall pattern. Ask yourself, is the effort mutual? Is the attention consistent? Does this person treat me differently from others? And most importantly, do their actions repeatedly match the emotional connection I feel? Because real connection eventually becomes visible through behavior. You don't need to force it. You don't need to decode every text message. You simply need to observe what consistently happens between you. And sometimes the truth isn't hidden, it's simply unspoken. So if you recognize several of these signs, don't immediately assume that you're both secretly in love. Instead, notice the pattern. Do you both make an effort? Do you remember the little things? Do you behave differently around each other? Do you notice each other's distance? And is there a quiet emotional tension that neither of you seems willing to name? If the answer is yes to several of these, there may be a genuine emotional connection developing beneath the surface. And perhaps that's the most interesting part. Sometimes feelings don't arrive with a confession. They arrive quietly, through attention, through consistency, through the little things people do when they care more than they're ready to admit. If this video made you think of someone, don't keep it to yourself. Comment below, which of these 5 signs have you noticed? And if you believe someone else needs to hear this, share this video with them. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Psycho Library, and turn on notifications for more psychology-based insights about attraction, relationships, human behavior, and the emotions we don't always know how to express. Because sometimes understanding someone's behavior isn't about finding one perfect sign. It's about recognizing the pattern hiding in plain sight. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.